Hi there. Today is Careers Q&A Day, where Zoe and I give you some personal attention. Well, here I am live from Greece, working away from home as a digital nomad. And so it seemed like the perfect time to fly solo in answering this question from Moira. I'm in my late 40s, I'm single, and I've always longed to travel. And I have a dream of working as a digital nomad, just traveling around the world, seeing different countries as I go. But my question is, how realistic is this? And how do I even begin? Well, the good news, Moira, is that you're really genuinely well placed to make this happen. The explosion of remote working and freelance culture has completely opened up a new world for where and how work gets done. I've spent time working with people in comfortable co-working spaces in fabulous cities like Lisbon and New York and Barcelona. I even work from a converted seminary in Tuscany when we're over there on a fairly regular basis. And at this moment, I'm recording this 100 meters away from the sea on a home exchange in Greece. So yes, it is totally doable. And even with kids, I know you're single and child free. I'm not. Slightly less fun, slightly less freedom, but it's still totally doable. But there are a lot of things to think about. And here are the kinds of things that I want you to consider. The first one is, what are you planning to do work-wise? And I'd always recommend to start with what you already have. Do you have a current role that works for this already? Are you fully remote? And if you are, how about just piloting the micro version, as in going away for a month to a destination of your choice and seeing how you get on, always with the intention to return to the UK, but just to really get the experience of what are the kinds of things I need to think about? How easy is it to get work done here? What kind of accommodations might I need? That would be a really great way to just stress test your idea and see whether it really suits you and what you need to think about. But if you don't have work that suits you, either because you're working freelance or because you are already in a remote or hybrid role, you might need to start with thinking about that, as the work is really what you need to have ideas in place with before you leave. Going to travel around the world is not the time to make an exceptional career change. I would always say, try to think about with the role that you're in. Can you alter the hours or the location to make that fully remote and then do a bit of a pilot? Or can you start to pick up freelance side hustle projects in that space that are earning you money and you plan to build that out as you go along? Or maybe you've got the skills that travel well. So maybe you can teach or care. Maybe you have trade skills that could work in different regions. Of course, you'll need to check your visas around that. And it's not always, if you like, fully digital in terms of your nomadism, but you can nevertheless travel with these skills because they're usually always in demand locally. The other thing to think about is in relation to your income, because there are lots of great ways to travel around the world where you are exchanging skills for room and board. Things like Workaway, WWOOFing, working on an organic farm, and other long-term volunteering projects can be cheap ways to share your skills with others, find community, and travel all over the world. Equally, you might swap your home on a home exchange site or rent it out for income as a kind of foundation there. So have a think about what kind of experience you want around your income. Are you looking to just make ends meet while you travel? Are you looking to make the same amount of money, but enjoy a bit of sunshine while you do? Now, if you have a home that you can rent out, that is probably your financial foundation right there. That does give you some leverage. You'd need to do your sums and make sure that you can cover your costs. But if you own a home and then rent it out while you travel, it could cover a surprising amount of your basic living and traveling cost, especially if you're drawn to some more affordable destinations or if you're using another platform like a volunteering agency to exchange your effort for your board. But it's worth just getting really clear early on about what is it that you want. Do you want that freedom to explore? Or do you want to be doing your work somewhere else? Because they lead to very different kind of designs and plans for how you spend time. And then think about your locations, things like obviously politics, stability, economics, what the cost of living is in those places, what the weather is like and how that changes seasonally, ease of getting to and fro. We may be in a circumstance where we run out of jet fuel fairly soon. Do you want to be somewhere where your friends can easily come and visit you or where you could get home regularly and cheaply? Do you even want to travel around the UK first, perhaps? So really think about your locations and destinations and have some idea, especially if you're planning to move on in a regular way, of where you're going to go and how that's all been set up, how you're going to get there. And do your research. There's some great online communities. I love Reddit, but there are others are available, which have communities for expats, for digital nomads, specific to the countries that you want to visit. But also do your research, obviously, with the Foreign Office, with visas, guidebooks, talking to people, and really understanding what the, political and quality of life situations are in each of those places. And, it is a serious concern at the moment whether flights will still be running over the next few months. So do just make sure you have a plan B for how you get out and about if that does happen, or a brilliant Robinson Crusoe kit for if you're planning to take your chances and just go somewhere really remote and make it work. And just last couple of things around work and skills building. Like, I feel like it's particularly important when you are traveling with your work to keep your skills current and fresh. So remember all the great online platforms that you can take free training on: Coursera, Udemy, LinkedIn Learning. They all have some really great training and courses. Don't overlook AI literacy. That's kind of growing marketable differentiator professionally. That's going to be important. And of course, take advantage of local courses and language courses within the locations that you are in. As there'll be great ways to make friends and to really connect meaningfully. And please make sure that you have a decent stash of cash behind you before you go so that panic doesn't set in. And remember that moving around can also be quite tiring. So just factor that recovery time if you're planning to have a rhythm of moving on from place to place. And last thing, if you are going to be freelance, can you just give some thought ahead of time about how your client's going to find you? Try to get a few of those plates spinning before you head out. Freelance platforms, Upworks, the Fivers of this world, they're a good starting point and they're proliferating all the time. But you may also find that reaching out to former colleagues, to friends, to people along the way, some of the best commissions and opportunities might come from conversations whilst you are traveling. But please just bear in mind, thinking about how you're going to continue to have that flow of work if you're not in a location where networking might have been pretty useful for you previously. So I hope you have an amazing time. Let me know how you get on. And just, in summary, make sure you know what your foundation is going to be. What are you selling? How are you selling it? Are there other ways that you can generate income or ways that you can reduce the costs of your traveling and adventures? Make sure you know what your offer is. So if you are not working a paid role, then making sure that you're really clear about what it is you're offering in your proposition on your freelance side, and just make sure you've got that running before you pack your bags. Be mindful about your destinations, the distance from home, the tax, the stability in that society at that time. Please do enjoy the research, but be conscious of those things. And find your communities, the places where you can start making friends with other freelancers, digital nomads, expats going on the same adventure as you. So go forth, multiply, and let me know how you get on.
If you'd like your question answered on the podcast, please send us an email or a voice note to pod@thecareerequation.com.